Good afternoon. Toronto Police and York Regional Police joining forces with a revelation today. A pair of homicides are linked.
They say the same suspect is believed to be behind killings in both Toronto and Vaughan. CTV's Beth McDonnell has been following the investigations and joins us live with more details. Beth.
Nathan, Michelle, this was a joint news conference by Toronto and York Regional Police about two wanted suspects. One of those suspects is believed to be connected to deadly shootings in Toronto and Vaughan. Wanted on a Canada-wide warrant is Isaiah Badger. Police have various images of him. They say he is 19 and from Edmonton. He is wanted in connection with both shootings in Toronto and Vaughan. Also wanted is 19-year-old Jacob Wallace of Mississauga. He is believed to have played a role in the shooting in Vaughan. Both are believed to still be in the GTA. Here is what we know about the victims. This is a photo of Chandran Nanda Kumar, 37 years old. He was shot and killed on Saturday, February 7th in the parking lot near an entrance to the Woodbine Mall. The other victim has been identified as 65-year-old Sergio Lopes. His photo has not been released, but he was killed January 26, shot in front of a business in Vaughan in a plaza near Wings and Roundtree Dairy Roads. Police say both men have no criminal history and both were loved in their communities. Here is a look at the scene at Woodbine Mall on February 7th. You can see multiple bullet holes in the front window of the vehicle. Police have called this a very brazen daylight shooting as this happened shortly before 3:30 p.m. The shooting in Vaughan on January 26th also happened in the afternoon shortly after 1 p.m. Police say both victims were targeted, but police don't know why, and they are appealing for help to anyone to help locate the two wanted 19-year-old men.
To Mr. Badger and Mr. Wallace, we're coming for you. Turn yourselves in. Hire a lawyer. And to anyone else who has assisted these two individuals, including anyone who may be helping them evade police, you are committing a criminal offense. You will be investigated, arrested, and charged where evidence supports it. Both investigations remain ongoing, and we will continue working with our policing partners to pursue all available leads.
While the motive still remains unknown, all the evidence to date, the video surveillance, the witness statements, people that were present, it appears to have been targeted.
Police are asking anyone with information to contact them. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Durham police are warning Oshawa residents about a man convicted of murder who's been released on a 3-day unescorted temporary absence permit.
He shouldn't be out. You committed a crime. You have to pay the time. He shouldn't be out.
He's convicted. He should be doing his time. I don't understand why he's out, on a 3-day pass. I don't think it's right. I mean, it's nice that they're warning the public, but a lot of good that's going to do if he does something, right?
Police say 65-year-old Darren Scott Ray poses a significant risk to the community. He's expected to abide by several conditions during his release, including not consuming alcohol or drugs or being in the presence of a minor unless accompanied by an adult who is aware of his criminal history.
We know that this person will be in and around the Oshawa area. Like I said, he's under very strict conditions, so if anybody comes across him and they see any suspicious behavior or anything that's alarming to them, they're instructed to immediately contact 911, contact the police, and make us aware of these, these conditional breaches that they may be seeing. In those circumstances, our officers will investigate, determine whether those breaches actually did occur, and if they did occur, that person will be returned. So like I said, he's constantly being monitored. We're looking to see if he can abide by those conditions that he's been released on.
Police say they will continue to monitor Ray, and they're asking residents to remain vigilant.
2 people have been injured in a fire in Oshawa. Lots of flames and smoke seen coming from the roof of the building on Simcoe Street. It has at least one apartment and a restaurant on the main floor. Durham police say 2 people were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The cause of this fire is under investigation. Another investigation is underway after a North York synagogue was struck by gunfire late last night.
Toronto police say its hate crime unit is looking into it. CTV's Mike Walker has been following the investigation and joins us with more. Mike.
Well, Nathan, there continues to be a heavy police presence here at the synagogue on Old Colony Road. Investigators have been inside all morning collecting evidence. Now, a short time ago, we heard from the rabbi as well as some congregation members who are just devastated following this latest act of violence. Now, I want to show you some video here from the scene. Take a look at this. You can see there appears to be multiple bullet holes in the front windows of Temple Emanu-El. Gunshots were fired at the synagogue near Bayview and Highway 401 shortly before 11 last night. Rabbi Deborah Landsberg tells us the congregation had gathered earlier in the evening to celebrate the Jewish holiday Purim, and some members, including herself, were still inside the synagogue when shots were fired. Fortunately, no one was injured. The rabbi adds that the synagogue has been part of this community for decades, and they've never experienced violence like this before.
The congregation had gone home, and we heard a series of gunshots, which sounded almost like fireworks, but this was not a firework holiday. And we have only been a valued part of this community, is how we felt. And this, on a certain level, shattered that.
The thing that we need to stand against, in particular in this moment, is the normalization of this kind of hatred in Canada. We cannot allow this to be a normal occurrence here in this country.
Now, police have increased their presence here at the synagogue and surrounding area. As mentioned, the hate crime unit is investigating, but at this point, investigators haven't revealed any description of the suspect or suspects. The synagogue does have multiple surveillance cameras, and that's something investigators are currently combing through. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Still to come, the latest on the conflict in the Middle East. We'll have more on details on the battle between Iran, the U.S., and Israel a little later in the newscast.
Hamilton police have made an arrest in connection with a stabbing at a motel in their East End earlier this year. 34-year-old Joel Benjamin is charged with attempted murder and possession for the purpose of trafficking. He was arrested yesterday after he was wanted on a Canada-wide warrant. Police also seized a significant amount of suspected fentanyl, along with $30,000 in gold bars. A 36-year-old man was also taken into custody and charged with possession for the purpose of trafficking and proceeds of crime over $5,000.
The Slate Family Foundation is making a major investment in tackling homelessness in the city. The organization is spending $25 million to establish a housing lab, which uses an evidence-based approach to get people off the street and into supportive housing. The money will go to a research center at St. Michael's Hospital and the United Way. Last year, more than 100,000 people were on the wait list for social housing in the city. The new program aims to house 300 people over the next 5 years.
Mayor Olivia Chow wants to bring sidewalk garbage bins back under city control. In a letter ahead of next week's executive committee meeting, Chow writes that the city signed a 20-year street furniture agreement with Astral Advertising in 2007. Since that time, you can see here the trash bins have undergone 5 different designs and face scrutiny over poor functionality and maintenance. The contract expires next year, and Chow wants to see the garbage bins removed from the next agreement. It's not clear how soon new bins would be on city streets or how much they would cost. Astral, like CTV, is a division of Bell Media. Well, work is underway across our city to make sure things are ready in time for a big tournament.
And that includes speeding up construction and making sure Toronto's transit system can handle an influx of tourists. CTV's Natalie Johnson joins us live from City Hall with more. Natalie.
Hi, Nathan. Well, of course, this is the biggest sporting event on the planet. And so the question of whether the city of Toronto is ready for this event is an enormous one that comes with enormous pressure. Now, the budget for this event, which currently stands at $380 million, has remained consistent over the past 2 years after ballooning significantly at the start. This has been a priority, controlling costs for the team in charge of managing this event. They have done that successfully over the last 2 years, working within that existing budget, according to Deputy Mayor Amber Morley, who sits on the FIFA subcommittee. The other levels of government have officially signed their checks, and so that money is ready to go. The cost of the City of Toronto is $180 million. But when you think about all of the moving parts of this massive event, all of the things that the city is charged with controlling, there's a lot to think about. You've got the transit, you've got the traffic. On the traffic side, for example, they are working on a congestion management plan that will see traffic wardens and signal timing at play. On the transit side, they'll be bringing in more streetcars. They've got dedicated transit lanes that are already up and running to try to make everyone move smoothly. A lot of considerations as well for the local neighborhood in and around BMO Stadium, or Toronto Stadium, I should say. Here's more from a few councillors this morning, including Deputy Mayor Osman Malik, who was in charge of that local neighborhood.
My community as a local councillor, my priority has been to ensure that residents and businesses are able to catch the excitement of the games while also navigating their neighborhoods safely and reliably. And to that end, I have pulled together an internal neighborhood planning table that is engaging the public and the community with the plans around traffic management, around crowd management, and communications and information distribution before, during, and after the games, and working together to ensure that from these games, our local communities can see those infrastructure improvements, can participate in the celebrations, and can see the commitment of the city to sports for people of all ages, especially women and girls.
A lot of major construction projects will be on pause during the FIFA time, but we're also really trying to do investments related to transit, getting these roads finished and the bridge work completed in advance of FIFA so that we've got as smooth as possible of a number of weeks together while folks are trying to get around the city. We're trying to make sure that as far as we can, we're not in the way.
The easiest, fastest way to get around downtown is by transit, and that's part of why, A, we're preparing so much, and B, why we've got dedicated lanes so that the Dufferin bus and the Bathurst streetcar are going to be able to move quickly and efficiently. We're bringing in transit system priority. We've improved that already on the Spadina streetcar line as well. We've got 3 intersections now where the streetcar goes through without waiting for left-turning cars. So we're working really hard to make sure that TDC is the better way and is going to really serve people.
Now, on the capital side of things, officials say that the infrastructure needed for this massive event is on track to be complete in time for the tournament with just 100 days to go. Really, the planning now shifts into the implementation stage as Toronto counts down to the World Cup. Reporting live at City Hall, I'm Natalie Johnson. Nathan and Michelle, over to you.
All right, thank you, Natalie. Well, the countdown's begun. Today marks 100 days until the FIFA World Cup arrives in the city.
Toronto is set to host 6 matches as part of the global tournament, and our Raheem Ladani joins us live from where all the action's going to happen, BMO Field, with all the excitement leading up to this huge tournament. 100 days and counting, Raheem.
Hi, Michelle. Yeah, BMO Field is being transformed into Toronto Stadium right before our very eyes. There's a hub of activity right around this complex. In fact, look behind me and you can see crews retrofitting the stadium. One of the things they're doing is installing more seats so that there's capacity for 45,000 people. It's a big number, but talk to people in the city and they'll tell you they wish that number was even bigger. One of the reasons is because they can't access tickets. That's been a challenge already that we've started to see. Access to tickets and even some confusion over where to go just to have the opportunity to buy some tickets. Toronto Stadium is hosting 6 matches during the World Cup, and everyone wants to get inside. Here are 4 ways you can still get tickets. To guarantee yourself a seat, you must buy a hospitality ticket, but it is pricey. A Champions Club ticket for Canada's first match will cost you more than $6,000. You'll get a sideline view seat in a shared space, access to soft drinks and champagne, blending suite-level comfort with a lively atmosphere. If you don't mind watching a different match, that same ticket for Panama versus Croatia is going for under $3,500. The second official way to get a ticket is through the last-minute sales window. It opens in early April. Tickets will be sold on a first-come, first-served basis. The third way is through resale. Tickets originally purchased by other fans who want to sell them will be available on FIFA's portal when it reopens on April 2nd at 11 a.m. Eastern. The final way to watch a FIFA match live is to make a donation. The City of Toronto is raffling 26 pairs of tickets. Donate between $26 and $260. The more you give, the more entries you get. Every dollar will go towards building mini pitches in equity-deserving neighborhoods and funding free programming for youth in Toronto. The campaign closes on March 15th at midnight.
Now, if you don't get access inside the stadium, FanFest will also take place just down the road from here. The Bentway and Fort York National Historic Site, they have capacity for 20,000 fans, and all the games will be shown on the big screen as well. Reporting live, I'm Raheem Ladani. Nathan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Raheem. More news in a moment, but first, a live look at the city this afternoon. In 100 days, things are going to be nice and sunny and bright, but we're not quite there yet. Let's bring in Lindsay Morrison with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan. Yeah, one thing we know for sure is that in 100 days, it's going to be a little warmer outside, and that ice is going to be gone. Right now, we've got a whole lot of activity happening on the satellite and radar, mainly south of the border, impacting our friends stateside. But some of this is expected to creep north, and as a result, we could get a little bit of mixed precipitation, mainly late this afternoon and into the early part of the evening. Right now, though, it's simply varying amounts of sun and cloud, depending on where you are. Winds out of the east today, but pretty calm, light in nature expected through this afternoon. We are at +1. We are on our way to a daytime high, a forecast daytime high of 2 degrees. That is near normal. And this is the beginning of our climb out of the deep freeze for what looks like an extended period of time. Coming up, we'll take you through the weekend forecast and show you just how mild things look to get. That's ahead. But for now, Nathan, I'm going to send it back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Australia now, the latest stop on his 9-day trade mission. He's in Sydney today for meetings with business leaders.
Carney will also deliver a speech to the Australian Parliament on Thursday. CTV's Abigail Beeman has been traveling with the Prime Minister and has the latest from Sydney.
After signing a number of deals in India, Prime Minister Mark Carney continues his trade-focused Indo-Pacific tour here in Sydney, looking to deepen collaboration on everything from critical minerals to defense. This is the first official visit to Australia in more than a decade. Canadian government officials say it can be easy to take your closest allies for granted, and this visit is about shoring up close relationships that are already strong. Wednesday, Carney has a host of business meetings, mostly with Australian investment funds that the Canadian government thinks could be investing more in Canada, as well as meeting with the mining sector. He will later fly to Canberra, where he will address Australia's Parliament and meet the Prime Minister as well as Cabinet. Now, after a cancelled media availability in New Delhi, Carney still hasn't taken any questions in the first 6 days of his Indo-Pacific trip, not since a government official suggested India was no longer actively participating in foreign interference, nor since the airstrikes began in Iran Saturday. His defense minister is joining throughout the trip and had this to say in part about how to square Canada's support for the U.S. with international law, given the UN and others have said the airstrikes violate it.
The Prime Minister and the government decided from the beginning of this that we would support this incursion, but we're also calling for a diplomatic end to it. We very much would prefer to see peace and a ceasefire. That's what my colleague, Minister Anand, is driving forward now with her colleagues around the world. And so we'll see where this takes us.
The Prime Minister is expected to take questions for the first time Wednesday morning Sydney time. That will be day 7 of his trip. His team said he wasn't available Tuesday due to previously arranged personal commitments without sharing what they are. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Sydney.
The U.S. has closed 2 of its embassies and ordered non-emergency personnel to leave 6 Middle Eastern countries amid its ongoing conflict with Iran. The 2 embassies were targeted on Monday. The drone strikes caused minimal damage and no injuries have been reported. The U.S. State Department is urging Americans to immediately leave more than a dozen countries in the region.
Meanwhile, a mass funeral was held today for at least 165 people killed in an attack on a girls' school in the southern city of Menab. Iranian state media says the school was hit by an airstrike Saturday. The U.S. has not confirmed those claims, saying it's looking into reports that a school was struck. Meanwhile, Israel says it is not aware of any U.S. or Israeli strikes in the region. The United Nations is calling for a full investigation.
In the single deadliest and devastating incident, dozens of girls were reportedly killed and injured when their primary school in Menab, in the south of the country, was struck during the school day. The High Commissioner calls for a prompt, impartial, and thorough investigation into the circumstances of the attack. The onus is on the forces that carried out the attack to investigate it. We call on them to make public the findings and to ensure accountability and redress for the victims.
Iran has continued to launch missiles at Israel, forcing some Israelis into shelters. No injuries have been reported after an Iranian missile was intercepted over central Israel. Now, our Scott Hurst has been monitoring the conflict. He joins us live now with more. Scott, Global Affairs is urging Canadians to avoid all travel to several countries as this conflict widens. What's the latest?
Michelle, good afternoon. In recent days, the Canadian government has updated its travel advice and advisories to more than a dozen countries in the Middle East, urging Canadians to either avoid non-essential travel to these countries or, in some cases, avoid all travel to these countries. And here is the advice to Canadians in the Middle East, as Global Affairs is tracking some 85,000 Canadians who are registered throughout the Middle East. And the advice is to, of course, stay alert to the changing security conditions. Check travel advice and advisories often because they can change relatively quickly. Also, register with the Registry of Canadians Abroad program, that is the ROCA program, and reach out for emergency assistance outside of Canada. And also ensure your travel documents and those of your loved ones are all up to date. As we mentioned, the Canadian government also updating that travel advice and advisory to more than a dozen countries. And here is the map of these countries, including avoid all travel to several countries and also avoid non-essential travel to other countries like Oman, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, as you see right there on your screen. We also heard from the Prime Minister on social media making a post about the situation in the Middle East. As Abigail mentioned, he is obviously on his tour in Australia right now, and the Prime Minister on social media saying he spoke with the President of the United Arab Emirates to express his gratitude for the protection of thousands of Canadians who live in UAE, as Canada calls for a de-escalation and the immediate halt of attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructure. Michelle.
Now, Scott, it's important to know this war in Iran has sparked what's being called a secondary digital battlefield with misinformation spreading online mere hours into this new conflict, raising the notion that it's important to be aware of what's real and what's potentially fake information out there.
Yeah, of course, we all know in this day and age, information and video can be shared right across the world in a matter of seconds, and we're seeing it already in this new conflict, fake images and claims being spread online. CTV News spoke with a digital investigator who says they're seeing it pretty much across all social media platforms and in multiple languages. We can use this video as an example shared at this time. It can sure look to be a recent blast, but in fact, this is from several years ago from Ukraine, showing the aftermath of a strike on a munitions depot. And as we spoke with that digital investigator, talked about how easy it is to share videos like this.
We take keyframes, we take screenshots from these videos, and we reverse image search them. And oftentimes we will find that these videos have been circulating online for many years. But people are incentivized in this moment to try to fill the gap, right? There isn't verified footage yet. They know that if they have a post that really takes off and goes viral, they might get a lot of attention, and they don't seem to worry whether or not they're sharing something authentic.
So, Michelle, here is the advice. If you have any doubt, don't share it. Don't continue to fuel the misinformation. Also, some good advice, according to the digital investigator we spoke to. They say often you can go to the comments to get the information you're looking for. There might be other viewers and readers who have the same questions, and people in the comments might have been able to clarify it and clear it up already. Also, do a quick investigation yourself. Open up another tab and try to verify, Michelle, the original source of the video.
That is good advice. CTV's Scott Hurst live for us in the National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
2 Canadian tourists were killed in a bus crash in the Dominican Republic, with local authorities saying the crash involved Sunwing vacation guests. It happened Sunday near the coastal community of Cumayasa, which is roughly an hour's drive from Punta Cana. The bus, operated by a third-party provider called Nexus Tours, was carrying guests to their hotels. In addition to the 2 people who were killed, 19 other people were injured.
The Canadian Embassy in the Dominican Republic issued a statement writing they are aware of a tourist bus accident involving Canadians and are in contact with local authorities. They go on to say they're providing consular assistance as needed. Meanwhile, Nexus Tours also issued a statement saying they deeply regret the tragic incident and they are fully cooperating with authorities. British Columbia's government has ruled that once the province moves into daylight saving time, it is not going back.
CTV's St. Alexander has more on the change and what it could mean for BC going forward.
The government figured this would be a popular announcement, so much they included a dance portion. One more time, we will have to move those clocks forward to daylight saving and never change them again.
We all have that microwave or that oven or something that you got to manually plug in the time change. And we won't have to do that anymore.
The twice-yearly switch has long been bemoaned by the public. So this appears to be a welcome surprise.
I'm so happy about that. Really?
Yeah.
Great.
It's unnecessary. So I'm glad they did that.
Yet it's surprising, because for years the government said this couldn't be done until the United States did it too. Apparently not anymore.
And we're also going to make decisions right now where British Columbia decides what's best for us.
Maybe we care less about whether the Americans are aligned with us these days anyway.
It's certainly been a long time coming. Way back in 2017, CTV News asked then Premier John Horgan what he thought about getting rid of the time change.
I haven't felt a groundswell. No one's filling my inbox.
It wasn't on his radar, but he was open to the idea.
Send me an email. I asked people to send me an email, and they've been doing that.
Then came a public consultation and legislation. Essentially, BC has been ready to control time for years.
I live for the spring forward, because all of a sudden we get an extra hour of sunlight at night.
Which brings us to another surprise. Scientists and doctors are all for canceling the time change because it's safer, there are fewer crashes and injuries, but have long argued standard time, that's when mornings are brighter and nights are shorter, is the better option because it's better for our health.
You need to have that light in the morning to reset your circadian rhythms.
Even so, the government believes this is what the public wants. BC will now have a new time zone, and small and large businesses will have all summer to adapt. St. Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
So perhaps now is a good time for me to remind you that we here in Ontario do spring forward this weekend and perhaps lose an hour of sleep. So that is something you should do Saturday night before going to bed and waking up on Sunday. Let's bring it back to today. Your evening commute could bring a couple of rain showers, maybe a few flurries, and even the possibility of some light freezing drizzle. And that's with the temperature close to freezing. But once again, we've got a ridge building for this weekend, and daytime highs could be in the double digits. Yes, on the plus side. We'll take a look at that 7-day forecast after the break here on CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
The World Cup is coming to Canada.
They have a dream to fulfill. Is the moment we've all been waiting for. That's what they came for!
Did you wake up early? Early risers were able to see the only total lunar eclipse of the year this morning. The eclipse, also known as a blood moon, was visible in the sky over the city around 6 a.m. The moon appears red when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon and casts a large shadow on the moon. The next total lunar eclipse won't be visible in Toronto until June of 2029. I know Nathan got up early for this one.
I did, and I looked out. I didn't see much, and then I just went and did my thing.
Ah, yeah.
ignored everything. But did you see it?
None. We didn't have luck. I woke up. Just the way the houses were, I would have had to go out onto, go out down the street, and I kind of wasn't dressed for that.
Yeah, it was cold this morning.
Yeah, so cold.
I'm in the same boat. I didn't have the best view, but I did see it on CP24 breakfast, so there was at least that. Yeah, pretty cool. And in the end, the clouds weren't as much of a factor as they could have been. But as this afternoon progresses, we might see the cloud cover increase further, and we could get a little bit of active weather as the day goes on, too. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers you don't pay unless they win. If you missed the lunar eclipse, maybe you saw the sunrise. It was gorgeous this morning. This was the view from our CTV News chopper. City just glowing in that golden blanket of sunlight. Sometimes a little bit of cloud mixing in makes for the best sunrises and sunsets, I think. As we progress through the day, yeah, the sunset might not be quite as pretty. Instead, we might be seeing some raindrops on our windows and our windshields. Here's a look at the current satellite and radar. Just a mix of sun and cloud in most areas, a little more cloud than sun in many spots. But as we widen things out, you can see a couple of different colors on the radar to our south. This so much isn't going to impact us. It's this disturbance that's just starting to cross the international border and impact portions of southwestern Ontario. That might. We'll keep an eye on this through the afternoon and early evening. For many, this is going to be a miss. We're not going to get much in the way of precip at all. But I do want to just pause this around, there's 9 p.m. So again, west end sections of the GTA and anyone along that north shore of Lake Erie has a better chance of seeing perhaps some light freezing drizzle or some rainfall. Waking up tomorrow morning, expect a bit of fog. That too burns off. We enjoy a mix of sun and cloud for the afternoon. But then Thursday, this is when our first round of precipitation is going to move in. It's going to be an unsettled couple of days, Thursday through Saturday. And even right now, it seems like we could get maybe some light freezing rain as a result of temperatures being close to the freezing mark, much like they are right now. It's 1 degree at Pearson Airport. Still quite cold in northern parts of Ontario, but +2 in Trenton, so you're on your way there. Overnight tonight, we drop to -4 degrees, wind chill -8. We're not completely done with the cold weather. We will certainly still feel it through those overnights. But look at tomorrow. Once that fog burns off, should be a pretty nice day. +5 for the high and a sun cloud mix, slightly warmer than normal. Just about everywhere in southern, southwestern Ontario, central portions of the south, and in through eastern sections of Ontario, too. Let's talk about this 7-day forecast. So as mentioned, some periods of rain or perhaps freezing rain on Thursday, chance of some night showers on Friday. Saturday, still unsettled, but look at the temperature climb. 8 degrees by Friday, 12 on Saturday, and Sunday at this point is looking like a nice day with a mix of sun and cloud and a high near 9. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The Sabres will be looking for a 3rd straight win when they face off with the Montreal Victoire tonight.
Only better than Vancouver's, operating at just 8%. There's a shot, scores!
The team's coming off a 2-1 win over the Vancouver Golden Eyes on Sunday. Puck drop for tonight's game against the Victoire set for just after 7 at Coca-Cola Coliseum.
The Blue Jays will play an exhibition game against Team Canada today ahead of the World Baseball Classic. The team will take a break from their normal spring training schedule to square off against the national team in Florida. Mississauga's Josh Naylor will serve as captain of Team Canada. The 28-year-old is the first baseman for the Seattle Mariners. The World Baseball Classic begins tomorrow night, but Canada won't take the diamond until Saturday. Canada is in a group with Colombia, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Panama. Canada will play its first game against Colombia.
Still to come, drug overdoses in the city have nearly doubled since last January. We'll take a closer look at the data when we come back. Drug overdoses in the city have nearly doubled since last January. According to recently released city data, paramedics responded to 350 calls for suspected non-fatal opioid overdoses in January. That represents an increase of 47% compared to 2025. However, there were 12 fatal overdoses in January in both 2025 and 2026. March break is set for later this month, but parents and kids are already planning their activities.
In Quebec, March break is already underway, and parents are being urged to limit their kids' screen time. CTV's Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil explains.
It's easy to stay home. A movie, a series, a tablet, cheap, simple, quiet. But for some parents, that's not the plan this week.
We were looking at the other activities and a lot of them are expensive, so we're trying to make a balance.
And she found it at the Circus and Performing Arts Hub Toru. It's opening its doors to families all week. Juggling, plate spinning, hip-hop, activities designed to get creative and burn off energy. For many parents here, limits around devices aren't just a March break rule.
We can only watch like once a day, a little tiny show, you know, and can we try to diversify activities? It's really important for the kids to move.
For us at home, we never watch TV during the week time, only the weekend, because like the kids are obsessed with that.
And here, parents aren't just watching from the sidelines. Toru's Hélène Dimanche says this week is about trying something new.
Be curious, like discover their environment, which is like outdoor, visit the park, or go ice skate, or be curious about new things you haven't tried, like dance and circus.
For some, that means hip-hop or popping. This dance teacher says the goal is simple.
Just make the people dance, make the people move, make them fall in love with the music, or just the aspect of moving and having fun through it all.
Of course, cutting back on screens isn't always simple. Psychiatrist Vincent Paquin says children under 2 should have little to no screen time because too much can affect development. After that, he says, the conversation shifts.
It's more about the quality than the quantity.
Instead of just counting minutes, he suggests being involved. If your child loves a video game, join them.
This kind of shared understanding will help parents then be more aware of what the child is up to in the digital world.
And when it comes to rules, be clear.
Not using screen devices during meals, not bringing a screen device in the bedroom at night.
In the end, it may not be about banning screens completely, but making room for moments like these. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
And you're watching CTV News at noon as the city counts down to the World Cup. 100 days to go. A live shot of the countdown clock at Nathan Phillips Square. More news right after this short break.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Returning to one of our top stories, Prime Minister Mark Carney has arrived in Australia as he continues an overseas trade mission. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has been following Carney's travels and joins us live from Ottawa with more. Annie, the Prime Minister and India's Prime Minister signed a landmark nuclear energy deal and a commitment to finalizing a new trade deal. How significant is this?
Hi, Nathan. Well, for the province of Saskatchewan, this is a very significant deal. It's worth about $2.6 billion over the next 10 years. And essentially what this is a commitment for a company based in Saskatchewan, Camco, to deliver uranium to India. Now, this is because India is trying to clean up its environment. Coal is low carbon, and it doesn't have that much coal that's being produced right now. So this is a big potential pipeline for the province of Saskatchewan. Scott Moe is thrilled, saying this is a great opportunity for Saskatchewan businesses and workers, as well as for the Canadian government. The Canadian government says something very similar, that this is great news for Canadians. This is helping to diversify Canada's economy, and that this is just the start of a much larger partnership with the Indian government and with India, which is a very big, growing, quickly growing economy. However, there are some questions about whether Canada is making the right move by moving closer to India. Just a couple days ago, members of the Sikh community had a press conference and said that Canada should not be moving closer to India and that the Prime Minister should not be making this official visit to India, given that there are still questions and links to India when it comes to violent crimes in Canada, as well as foreign interference. The big problem here, Nathan, is that we really haven't had the chance to hear from the government directly. Minister Anand was out just yesterday, and she said, you know, the words of the background officials we heard from 6 days ago is not what she would say in her opinion. Those background officials said that India is no longer actively engaged in foreign interference. Otherwise, Mark Carney would not be traveling to India. We heard from CSIS, who says that their threat assessment of the, quote, main perpetrators of foreign interference haven't changed. Now, they didn't specifically mention India, but the question posed to them was about India. Canada. So it's interesting that the Prime Minister is moving closer to this. All along, he sort of said, look, we need to look at the world with eyes wide open. He said this about China, that essentially countries like Canada can work with India and work with China on an economic kind of forefront while kind of having separate relationships and separate conversations and more sensitive subjects. So again, a big deal for the Canadian economy, good for diversification, but there are questions about whether this is the right move, given that there are real concerns about foreign interference and transnational repression by India. Nathan?
All right, so also Carney's in Australia now, and the belief is the two countries need to strengthen their security relationship. What might we see there?
Yeah, this is a big area that Canada believes it can work a lot closer with Australia. And we heard the Defence Minister saying as much yesterday that there is potential room here. So maybe what we'll see is some type of cooperation agreement or an MOU, which is what we've seen sort of previously. He announced a few of those in India. We know that Canada has already made a purchase offer for over-the-horizon radar systems from Australia. So maybe we'll see some more movement on other defence-related capabilities that Australia has to offer. But really, this is sort of one facet of this relationship that Canada wants to improve upon. Canada and Australia do have a very close relationship. They have been allies for years, and Canada says that they're natural partners, but the relationship has not been prioritized. Justin Trudeau, over 10 years, never went to Australia. Before that, Stephen Harper did go, but that's because a summit was there. So the Prime Minister, by going, is trying to say, look, I am prioritizing the relationship with Australia, and that's also sort of what he's going to be talking about when he talks to Parliament. He really is going to be talking about how Canada and Australia are middle powers. They have a lot in common. They're both left-of-centre governments, and that they really need to work together to push back against the great power. So a lot of what we heard in Davos about middle powers working together, pushing back against great powers like China or, you know, potentially even India or the United States, this is sort of why he's in Australia and why it's viewed as important. The other aspect is that Canada thinks that there's a lot of businesses that want to invest in Canada. And so that's why Mark Carney, during his 2 stops in Australia, will be meeting with a lot of businesses. It is important to note, though, that so far the government has refused to tell us what sectors the Prime Minister is meeting leaders in and also what businesses that he's going to be meeting. They said you will find out once those meetings have happened. Nathan?
All right, a lot more to come. CTV's Annie Bergeron Oliver in Ottawa. Thank you.
Thank you.
A new survey finds roughly 3 million Canadians are taking GLP-1 drugs, and millions more would like to. A Leger healthcare poll finds that more than half of people taking the medications, which include Ozempic, reported decreased appetite, with 40% reporting fewer cravings. Meanwhile, 4 in 10 people report having cut back on alcohol since going on the medication. Weight loss is the #1 reason people take these drugs, followed by diabetes treatments. More than half of the people who are interested in taking the medication say cost is a significant barrier.
Coming up, fighting fires with drones. We'll have more on the students working to revolutionize fire safety when we come back. Students from across the country are in competition to fight fires using drones.
CTV's Spencer Turcotte caught up with competitors from the University of Waterloo to get a first-hand look at their submission.
A drone powers up and its creators clear the way.
Area clear, wind weather okay.
Within seconds, liftoff. But who are the people behind this high-tech device?
We are Waterloo Aerial Robotics Group, or WARG for short.
Every year, they compete in the Aerial Evolution Association of Canada's student competition. In May, they'll go up against 20 other Canadian post-secondary schools in Ottawa. So what's this year's challenge?
This year, they are shifting the theme to urban firefighting. This year's tasks are identifying targets all around a building, moving equipment from one location to another location, and extinguishing these targets using water.
The team, made up of mostly engineering students, was in charge of building it from scratch, and they'll be responsible for navigating it using open source software.
Allows us to see a lot of statistics from the drones and information. We need to be able to show the judges that we can identify and extinguish fire targets It'll be identified by colored pieces of paper.
Despite their advanced knowledge and skills, don't forget they're still students and have done all of this amid their studies.
We're still doing our classes, and we also have the privilege of being in Waterloo's co-op system. So we have a lot of people coming in and out.
Another thing working against them has been this winter's weather.
We really prefer not to fly in any inclement weather.
So they're taking advantage of a rare sunny day with no heavy snow falling. With a couple of months left to fine-tune the drone until it is put to the test, they do have winning on their mind. But more importantly, they're excited to think about how their flying robot could help save lives. Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Waterloo.
Very creative and I'm sure effective.
I know. Wish them well. Some bright minds over there. Bright skies this afternoon, which is really nice. And you could feel a quick warm-up from this morning when it was really cold, and then not too bad mid-morning and afternoon.
This time of year, the sun really does make a difference. It's starting to feel a bit warmer once that daylight hits you. And you know what? We're going to have more daylight going forward, because a reminder that we spring forward this weekend. Clocks go forward 1 hour at 2 a.m. on Sunday, and I like that this is a good reminder, too, to change the batteries in your carbon monoxide and smoke detectors in your home. So there's your reminder today. Overnight tonight, watch for a little bit of fog. Forecast low -4 degrees, feeling more like -8. That fog burns off tomorrow morning. Could be a little cloudy as you're waking up tomorrow morning, but the afternoon should bring us a mix of sun and cloud and a high of +5. That's a great looking day. We remain just as mild for the end of the week, but a little more unsettled. Some cloud cover and some showers expected certainly Thursday, and then it looks like into the day on Saturday as well. Nathan and Michelle.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.